And I think that's the biggest thing when we work with couples. We always say to them when we kind of hit that aspect, first of all, budget, because not everyone's going to have the budget to onboard a stylist, which we can touch on in a minute. But we want a rough idea of what they like. Like send us some photos of ceremonies that you like or receptions. But we don't go into that full detail. Like walk me around the house and do this and do that. And in the nicest possible way, we just don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
Because we've got other clients, we can only take X amount of weddings on each year to ensure that all these clients get our full attention. Like if we were going into that, we'd have to double our fees and half the amount of clients that we took on. First thing I walked into, I was like, the flowers, they're the wrong colour. Oh my gosh. And I'm like having this internal freak out and then Britta goes, Tristan, are the chairs the wrong colour? And I've looked down and I'm like,
every wedding something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every time.
You know, like the furniture might be
Chairs
the wrong
colour.
colour, whatever. Like, and you've laid it out and you've got the best plan you can possibly have, but something might happen.
So the team went out and
bought plywood,
and they painted the dance floor.
but it was a water-based paint, and it's like powdery,
and it rained.
And it rained.
Oh, it just came off.
Well, it was everywhere. It was all through the venue.
Everywhere.
And of course, we've got a security deposit down at the venue. It was at Pandawa, and you know what they're like there. And the paint all over the grass, all over the floor, all over the bride.
decking.
Yeah.
You should have seen the bride's feet. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Bali Weddings Unveiled. My name is Britta.
I'm Tristan.
Today we are talking about wedding styling. One of our last episodes we spoke about florists versus stylists, and we have a very special guest with us today to kind of go into a much deeper dive. We've got Kylie.
Hello.
From Enakai Creative. It's Enakai Creative, isn't it?
Enakai.
Enakai.
Yeah.
Lovely. Welcome, Kylie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, girls. Thank you. What no one saw was how many times it took these two to get the intro done. So,
And we started laughing and we accidentally headbutted.
I think the thing is it's wedding season, so everyone's a little delirious and a little exhausted.
100%.
We definitely are. Well, you've come in sick. I was just explaining that I've had about 15 hours sleep in 3 days. So I finished work this morning. What time? Like, you went home. I got home, I think, at 12:45. I finished chatting to the bride, home by 1:30, in bed by 2:30.
Yeah.
Woke up this morning, sent my son out the door to school at 7:30, and there was no school today.
That is the classic working mum situation.
Well, look, it's Monday. I honestly thought he was going back today, and
God, it's
if it makes it
Monday.
better, I don't know if you know my friend Amanda from, what's her charity called? It's in the back of my head.
Let's Help Bali.
Let's Help Bali.
Yeah.
So I saw on her Facebook this morning. She got up this morning, she cooked her son breakfast, went to send him to school. He doesn't start till next week. So I was only a day off.
She did the same thing.
She did exactly the same thing. Anywho, well, thank you so much for joining us, Kylie.
Thanks, girls.
So first of all, let's just kind of go into a little bit of like who you are, what you do. Tell us a little about.
Well, Kylie from Enakai Creative. I am a wedding
Person.
so I'm exhausted as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been working in the wedding industry for probably close to 20 years and have been in Bali for about 11. So I've had a very broad range of experience in the wedding industry, from working in venues, helping set up in-house wedding planning programs, also, doing wedding planning myself. So I come from a background where I get the big picture, but the true passion for me is the creative. And that's when the aesthetics of wedding come into play. And we set up Enakai Creative, I guess, post-COVID, as a chance to bring that passion to the forefront of what we do. And it's just been an amazing few years, and being able to work with, side by side with different wedding planners, with different vendors. It's just really given us an incredible sense of joy, and it's given us a chance to build a team where everyone's really like-minded and really passionate about what they do.
Yeah, amazing. Now, I think I first met you were you in Ungasan? I think when we
Yes.
first met.
Yeah.
So a while ago. So you've is that where you started in the wedding industry in Bali, or you were working somewhere before that?
Look, I came to Bali many moons ago to work within the events industry. I had my own wedding company on the Gold Coast in Australia.
Yeah.
And we were so passionate about moving to Bali. So a job opportunity came for me to come over and work in events for a major group.
Yeah.
And so I came over with that. Things shuffled a lot. There was lots of transitions happening in that company. But one of the properties that they did manage was the Samara Luxury Resorts at
Ungasan. Used to be
Yeah.
called that. Yeah.
So there was a natural progression over time to move into that property when it was rebranded, and the owners were wanting to really push forward the the weddings that were there, which were always amazing. But they also had a lot of inquiries come through for people to do weddings with an in-house sort of coordinator.
Yeah.
So it was a twofold role. It was really about supporting other wedding planners that were coming in, and then also, being there for the clients that wanted to deal directly just with the resort.
Yeah. What do you say? Like, we work with a lot of clients directly. We work with a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
And a lot of hotels have in-house coordinators. I guess Ungasan's a little bit different because it's a lot, it's up here compared to some of the hotels we work with in sometimes. Yeah. What would you say the main difference is between working directly with a hotel versus an outside wedding planner?
Look, I guess the Ungasan was different because it took a next level approach to their wedding planning. But for a lot of resorts, a coordinator fulfills the packages that are presented from the resort directly. Wedding planners, external wedding planners, are very much about creating bespoke experiences for their clients. So we don't package up really what is done, for our clients. Every client's unique. There are wedding planners that also do packages, but from a hotel perspective, a coordinator fulfills what that package, in-house package is.
Yeah, so that might
the
be food.
Flowers, it's the food, it might be, includes sound system. So it is quite basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you ventured out, you've obviously left the venue, you've gone out into the wedding planning space. How did Enakai come about?
Enakai was a name that I've held on to for probably over 20 years. So my grandmother's name's Ina. I'm Kylie, Kai.
Oh, I love that.
And so the two names sort of came together. Years ago, I came to Bali and had a little bit. The creative came in again. So I was playing around with some different homeware products, some different fashion products. We were looking at bringing containers back to Australia. So I was just sort of sussing the field, and I needed a brand name, and it just came organically. And when I looked it up, it was a Hawaiian name that actually means glowing ocean. There's a few different meanings to it. It's about being fiery, about being creative, about flowing, about energy, about being a storm. And if you see me work sometimes, you'll see that there's a bit of a storm. So it was just a name. And, I grew up learning how to knit. My grandmother taught me how to knit, how to bake. I was sewing dresses. I've always been artistic, drawing, creative. I've been doing layouts for my dream home since I was about 5 years old.
Wow.
Designing cubby houses, all of that sort of thing. So for me, it's just been a natural progression through my life to extend that creative. Yeah. And an opportunity came for me after COVID, working with Global Weddings actually, to style quite a big wedding. Yeah. And I was like, amazing, let's do it.
Was that the one we worked on?
That was with the Tones and I wedding.
Oh, yes, we were there.
Yeah. And so for me, that was just amazing, but I didn't have a name, didn't have a brand.
So that was your first wedding under your brand?
Exactly,
amazing.
How cool.
So it was...
That's a big one to start on.
Yeah.
Well, it was just everything. Everything that was sitting in here was able to come out into that space. So, it was so much fun.
That would have been so
exciting. Do you know what's wild? Like, Britta and I were obviously there working, but I feel like there's so much going on behind the scenes that in my head right now, I'm like, I can't even really remember what that one looked like. I remember it was beautiful, but there was just so much going on the day that I'm like...
I remember the big structure. I remember the floor, the dance floor. That was Was there a pattern or design on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we took we had an approach to that wedding where we wanted to really showcase sort of style elements of Bali.
Yeah.
And also, bring in like the modern look that, Tones was wanting, and a bit of eclectic. Tones and Jimmy were wanting for an eclectic look.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things happening, obviously, within that wedding itself, as from the planning and logistics side.
Yeah.
So with Global. So we really tried to marry everything together. But that dance floor, Septio, who's our in-house graphic designer, I said to him, look, I want to replicate a cinnamon tile. So, that sort of hand-painted tile that comes from the cinnamon region that you do see even in Java, different elements. So we looked at designs and patterns, and, it took us maybe 20 different versions before we got to that.
Yeah.
And so that was a custom colour floor, and all of that was hand-stamped.
Wow.
I remember watching bits and pieces of that going together on the day, but I feel like we've worked together quite a bit now, especially at the same venue with Global. We work a lot with Global weddings when they need extra hands on deck.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, and I also think it's because obviously all the media blackout around that event, like normally we'd have photos that we'd get to see later. I'm like, oh, that was a beautiful
We've
day.
actually never seen any.
I didn't see any photos of that wedding at all, no.
I know, I'm the worst social media poster. I love sharing other people's work, but I guess for us, we've always held on to that wedding a little bit sentimentally, and also, to respect our clients.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
there'll be a time when we bring that out, and I'm excited to do that, because every now and again I even go back to that. Everything from, there's just so many great stories that came out of that wedding. Like we had some terracotta, again, another sort of Indonesian element coming into that. Terracotta name cards made. And Santi went to pick those terracotta name cards up. And when she got them, her motorbike had fallen over, and a lot of those name cards is actually broken. And so we sat there and we looked at it, and I went, actually, this is really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we hand sorted through all these terracotta and matched them to the size of people's names. Yeah. And each one was hand calligraphied.
That is so cool.
With a broken edge. So, it's sort of some things like that happen. There were stories behind a lot of the different pieces. Like, one of our side businesses in partnership with the Jungle Trader. So we used all of our linen lanterns in that space. We had, local artisans doing all the rattan lights that we very specifically sort of broke down. We added in some glass lights from, like that Java sort of heritage colonial sort of look.
So
like there was so many moving pieces.
There's so many elements that go in behind the scenes into the styling that I don't think a lot of people realise.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a big thing that Britta and I touched on one of our last episodes last month. We kind of delved into, when you've done all your key suppliers for your wedding, you've got in your catering, and then we kind of move on to the styling and the decor. And there's two avenues you can go. We can do basic styling on the wedding, or we'll onboard a stylist.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that that's two different things. Like what we can do compared to what you can do, completely different roles. I mean, we could do it, but not to like the level that you're doing it.
And it's so interesting because from a planning background as well, I know exactly what you're saying, so you can create a beautiful wedding as a wedding planner. But I've even found that when I've broken off and just focused on the styling, that side of it is almost...
Well, that's a full-time job in itself.
Yes, it's just as big as the logistics.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you're taking that on board, like the work, appreciate your wedding planners, everybody. Because it is, we ran a few exercises to try and work out how many hours we put into planning or styling, years ago. And, it's upwards of 300 to 400 hours.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when you're going into detail, you are as well on some of them. I just did a big wedding a couple of days ago, and I did all the styling myself, and we had like a custom made dance floor, and we did a custom like audio guest book.
Yeah, I saw that.
Customized, like we even made all of their, what do you call it? Not faces, but their table centerpieces were made in acrylic, so that we could put the flowers in. A lot of detail, and it just takes so long to go backwards and forwards and source those things that if I had to do that for every wedding, I could probably take half the amount of weddings because it is very time consuming.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of trial and error that goes into creating. and, you'll go, like that dance floor for the number of samples of timber colours that came to us, because that's the detail that goes into a styled wedding, and it was a lot. And the practicing of the hand stamping, the cladding on the structures, handmade paper for the menus. It all seems very over the top, but it's the little touches that kind of create a unique wedding for people. Yeah. So often people say, what's the difference between styling and having a planner do it? It's kind of like a replication versus an authentication. Yeah. So where, like a stylist will take a couple with their vision, with their values, with their culture even, and try and create a big story from the big picture of where they've come from.
Yeah. We just had a call the other day with one of my clients for next year.
I know.
And sorry. And we need to bring like the Chinese side into it. So not so much, she doesn't really want the reds, but like a bit of blue. Kylie was like, no reds, please. But yeah, just bringing in little touches into the wedding, like it makes all the difference.
Yeah, and it makes it a more personal, wedding for people, like often, people say, how do you get to a style with a client? And Narelle will laugh because when you're watching this, but from Global Weddings, because I'll often get the couple to walk me through their house, because that's such a good way to see what their personal style is and, the colours that they may gravitate. And it's one of the questions that you sort of, go through. And colour's a big part of weddings. It's a big part from a personal taste, but also from a trending taste. Yeah. And so, you'll have couples that may live in a really neutral space at home, and then you've got to throw it at them and say, is this where you're wanting your wedding to go? Or are you wanting to break the mold of what you normally have and go with something a little bit brighter, a little bit more colour? Like where are you landing with that? And so, it's a lot of conversations to get to a point where you're pulling together what someone's vision is, not just from 40, 50, 60 to 100 Pinterest tags, it's really about creating something unique from those people.
And I think that's the biggest thing when we work with couples. We always say to them when we kind of hit that aspect, first of all, budget, because not everyone's going to have the budget to onboard a stylist, which we can touch on in a minute, but we want a rough idea of what they like send us some photos of ceremonies that you like or receptions, but we don't go into that full detail, like walk me around the house and do this and do that. And in the nicest possible way, we just don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
Because we've got other clients, we can only take X amount of weddings on each year to ensure that all these clients get our full attention. Like if we were going into that, we'd have to double our fees and half the amount of clients that we took on.
Yeah, you would. It's a lot.
So in your words, we've kind of touched on this already, but this is a really good perspective because you have kind of given the insight of, we're building your whole look rather than just asking you what you like. What would you say, why would somebody go with a stylist over just having a florist and having their planner do the basic styling?
I think it really comes down to what people put as a priority for their wedding. So, there's two things with weddings, obviously. There's the logistics. And that's where the wedding planners really, nail that. They're marrying their couples with the right photographers, the right caterings, the right venues, whatever that may be. And then a stylist takes that personal aesthetic, and some clients, for them, that part of it is just as important as the rest of the planning or the logistics. Sometimes it's more important to people. They're less about the food and they're more about the look.
Yeah.
But even if it's a balance between the two, what comes together with the stylist and the wedding planner, especially the relationships that we all have, and we're really blessed for that here in Bali.
I don't think people realise how close the industry is, the key people.
And how much we all help and support each other. But that middle bit is experience. And that's where I think, for a lot of people now, if you're looking at weddings and you want to talk trends, which I'm like,
Yellow is the trend this year.
Oh, everything's a trend at some, bows, draping, all of that. But it is about taking experiences and making them very personalised for the couple between the wedding planning logistics side and the aesthetic side.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess from having that background also in planning is I understand what it's like to create experiences for your guests, but you still want it to look good. So that's why, like, when we're styling, we're ridiculous, but we're there right to the very end.
Yeah.
Because, you know, things will happen. Like, look at Brianna's wedding.
Oh, stunning.
And, you know, like the cake cutting and timing and logistics. And we you know, you were going, okay, we're not going to do it there. We're going to do it somewhere else. So we're on board to kind of help bring that together, because you want to look back at your photos, all the experience, and make sure that every element is as beautiful as the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right to the end.
I think what I love, like looking through one of your whole document that you had together, kind of like us, like the whole wedding brief, but you did a mock-up of just everything, whereas we don't really do like a detailed mock-up like what I saw on that document.
We're like, these are the flowers that they want the exact shape, but we don't want yellow, we want to replace that with red instead, and we will just provide details, whereas you can do the graphics and this is what it's going to look like.
It looked amazing. I was like, can you just go with Kylie?
Yeah, I know. The design plan stage for us is a big investment in time, but it's also like it's something that, you know I personally won't compromise on, because that's almost like the Bible for the couple, for what they're going to get. And, you know, I love that creative process, and I'm, you know, super proud of the team that we have. And we'll start with, like, you know, just some pencil and paper and kind of go, okay, you know, we want to, you know, this is kind of what the direction the couple wants. Here are some of their and we call them inspirations.
Yeah.
You know, it's not references to us. We call that an inspiration, whereas you guys might get a reference from a couple.
Yeah.
So we kind of go, okay, that's what they are inspired by, but how do we tweak this to make it more personal and them? And so we'll sit and we'll do some, you know, sketches, usually hand it over to the graphic design team, who will turn it into, you know, a better illustration.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to the stage where we're doing more layouts, then it goes over to our interior design side.
Yeah.
And that then gets rendered. So you'll get like a bit of a visual of, you know, what that space will look like.
Have you got this for your upcoming wedding yet? The one that you had a call with the other day?
No.
What we might do is I'll use Brianna's one if that's okay. I'll pop up some images so that everyone watching at home can kind of see what you create, because it is magic. And I'll never forget that one of Brianna's last calls that I had with her, and she was like, oh my gosh, Kylie has thought of everything. Like, I never would have thought about that. Like, she had ideas, but you just were like, and what about this? Because that complements that. And there was just so much more.
I think that was something you said about her wedding, the Aperol Spritz cart.
Oh,
that was cool.
But that's the experience side, you know, and it's not like, you know, it's not unique. There's that, but it was one of her experiences that had already come from the logistics side. So we were like, let's just elevate that, you know, and make that a little bit more about you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even that tattoo studio you built was that last year? That was epic, with the custom neon and everything.
Yeah, that was fun. So that was Caitlin and Dominic's wedding at Pandawa.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And we had done so that was with Global. So Global as the planners. You guys were there as well. And then they wanted to have a tattoo studio, and usually we've done like a little pop-up and we'll do beautiful lounges and make it feel like that. But, you know, they were so open to taking things a little bit extra, and I'm like, why don't we just build a tattoo studio? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, let's like make it look like a building, like put a floor down, put walls up. Let's make it look like a standalone like tattoo shop, you know, and make it about you guys. And so, yeah, that was fun. And when you've got clients that want to go a little bit extra, like to do that, like it's insane. Yeah, custom neon, all of that. So much fun.
I think just everything about that wedding was just extra.
Insane.
Like, I think gorgeous. Even the bar was stunning as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so we worked with Design Mill on that one. So we did all the design concepts, and then they were our producers of that wedding. So we're really lucky to work with those guys. But yeah, like even over the dance floor, we created a brown circular sign.
Oh, that's right. The neon
sign.
Yeah, and it had words that were actually from their first dance around that neon sign.
So cute. Like these are the little things that we just wouldn't think of. Like your brain for these sorts of things is amazing.
Off the chart. Like it's, but you look at, I think you are, creative, you have different sort of parts of the brain that you use. But yeah, I love seeing, design, and I see design in space always.
Yeah.
Like I'll walk into a room and I've already laid this out, like those tables over there that the guys are working off.
Yeah.
We need to like cover them up a bit or something.
All about pinks.
All about the pinks, but that's all of design elements. Like it's repetition, and that's where styling comes into it. Rather than just going, okay, centerpieces on a table, this is the ceremony, this is what we're having. It's about like, a colour that might pop as the guests walk in, and then that might resonate again into another space, and then it'll present itself in another element. It's all, elements of design.
Do you have a favourite wedding that you have styled in Bali so far?
There's so many,
actually.
It's hard to sort of pinpoint one down to. I think, Tones and Jimmy's wedding was amazing because it just had so many different elements coming in, and it was, it was a 2-day build to get that going, to get all the structures up. So, and a massive team. Like, we've got some time lapse of that night before. So for me, like those weddings where we're able to produce, obviously something that's like in a space, but actually feels like it's meant to be there.
Yeah.
That's a really big part of what we do. We try not to push against a venue or push against a space too much. We want to make it look better than what it exists in pure form as a blank canvas, but also it's got to work in that space as well. So yeah, that was one. Dom and Caitlin's one was,
that was pretty epic.
That was pretty epic. Brianna's even at Tertha, I love that, like how that all came together. Like in the end, it was a space that I was a little bit like, not sure how we're going to, execute this, but that was amazing. Jake and Marie's, I think, was
that's right,
yeah, that was also beautiful. I don't know, there's so many recently, and like I think, when I look back at this year even so far, Julia and Durant's wedding at the Ungasun was also pretty spectacular because that took a real, Julia's an interior designer, Durant's in hospitality. So those guys really, we connected so well.
Yeah.
And the collaboration of taking it from vision to execution, for people that are quite visual people and know what they want, for them to come away from that and go, that's beyond anything.
Yeah.
For me, that feedback's really
Favorite.
special. Yeah. We've done some really fun ones, even ones that are just even more on that cocktail style. Yeah. So I could name a zillion: Megan Jack, Courtney Ronan,
so many amazing events that you've done over the years.
Yeah, it's been a real blessing to be part of this and be part of this industry. We were just in Lombok recently.
That looked beautiful. We were just talking about that before we started filming. That I saw on your social media some of the photos of that wedding. It looked beautiful. Yeah,
so we did 2 weddings over there, and one from that whole sort of cliff top venue at Salong Cello, India and Daniel's wedding, that was beautiful. It was really, and again, the checkerboard, dance floor, and you're in a different space, you're outside your comfort zone in Lombok, but it was beautiful. And then Kitty and Koru's wedding.
Was that the beach one?
Yeah.
That looked beautiful.
Sempiak, down there, Sempiak Beach Resort is just beautiful. And, sand weddings are kind of where I came from in Australia, and to go back to my roots, and go back into that space, but elevate the look of a venue, or it was pretty special. And how hard was that logistically, getting all of your styling aspects on that island? Did you have to go over there first and find local suppliers, or did you take most of them combinations with you? Yeah, we do, especially when you're going into a space or into a new destination, we very much wanting to support the local industries as much as we can. And it becomes sometimes a little bit of a challenge because, people have, or clients or couples might want something, and it's well, you can't really have that. But we've got such great relationships with, you know, even vendors like Sameja, Gladdy, I love you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, gave us some special, like 3 days with some of the products so that we could take it over and bring it back.
Oh, good.
But we had to sort of like compromise on that and see what was available and wasn't being used, you know. So we were really lucky because all of those little touches, the tablescaping, as we know.
I love tablescaping.
I know, me too. Really, really escalates the look. And to be able to have access to those products because of, you know, the amazing industry that we work in and how much we all support each other. Like, it's really special.
It's really good to see like how all the suppliers will rally when you really need it. Like I think we were talking about it before. I was in hospital I've lost track of days. A couple of days ago, I ended up in hospital emergency room and I had to I got out of hospital, insisted they let me go home. And I was like, oh, no, I've got a wedding. Yeah. I have to be there. And 2 of the team had already arrived earlier than me. I was like, you need to go. I'll be there when I can. Yeah. And I got out there and the first thing I walked into, I was like, the flowers, they're the wrong colour. Oh my gosh. And I'm like having this internal freak out and then Britta goes, Tristan, aren't the chairs the wrong colour? And I've looked down and I'm like, oh. And they were the wrong colour. It was just miscommunication between me and the company because I'd said, I want these chairs. They didn't clarify what colour because they came in 2. And they just sent me an invoice and I didn't look. I was like, great, my chairs are booked. And then when I sent the run sheet down, I had photos of the chairs that I'd ordered, but what showed up was the other one. So it was just miscommunication. But when I made the call, they're like, there's no one at the warehouse. But then the delivery team are like, that's okay. We've got a friend. They'll go open up the warehouse. We'll get a Gojek. And like 20 minutes before ceremony, my chairs were swapped out. But just like everyone is so helpful when needed.
I know. And everyone jumps in outside of what they normally do to get things done. Yeah. You know, like I think, you know, we're really, really lucky. Like this industry here is so powerful. Yeah. And
very tight knit. I feel like everyone will just help out where needed.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask them twice.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. And it's, you know, whether it be even, you know, some of the vendors, like some of the florists, like, you know, Kintan, who we use quite a lot, Ibuayu did some consulting on that last wedding for us in Lombok, where she actually, you know, specified the numbers that go into different like floral arrangements. You know, we tweak it, of course, on the spot. That's what we do. We're very hands-on. But yeah, like even that, just to work with the local vendors, like an amazing, you know, florist that's up and coming in Lombok was really exciting.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah. Big passion, actually, being able to help
the locals.
Yeah, definitely. And especially in places that
like that.
Yeah.
And I bet you they were so grateful as well over there just to have that opportunity and to showcase.
Yes, absolutely. And so proud. And, you know, you've got to give credit when credit's due. So, okay, you are a champion. I love you.
Amazing. We're going to try and get some photos of those weddings up from Lombok, if that's okay, just so you can kind of share them and share the styles of the locals over there and what you were working with.
Yeah, for sure.
And when it comes to, I guess, your style and look, do you find it hard to come up with ideas, I guess, for couples that might be completely outside of what you would like? Like I get some weddings and I'm like, that's disgusting. I don't want to do that. And then I have to do it because that's what the couple wants. It's not what I want. Like, do you ever face issues like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how do you kind of, like, do you ever give feedback and go, actually, that's not going to look good, or you just roll with what they want?
I think it's, not, I think, you know, you've got to be passionate with what you do. So I wouldn't do something that I didn't think I would put all my love into. Yeah. So sometimes there's like a bit of compromise on that. Or at the beginning of the process, I just sort of say, look, I don't think I'm the right person for you, you know. Yeah. Like I said, especially going into venues, like although we've done big structures and elaborate weddings, they still fit into those spaces. But there are some venues that you don't want to push too far against.
It's completely,
Yeah. Otherwise, it just doesn't look authentic. It looks forced. Like, a beautiful wedding looks sort of simple in some ways, you know. Like it should be a space that feels calm. It should feel like you're welcoming people in. It should feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And so when you're going against that, that's when I'm like, I don't think we are going to align here. It doesn't happen often at all, to be honest. But yeah, you have some compromises and you sort of go, okay, I see what you're wanting, but it feels a bit forced. Can we push this into this direction? And look, when we do I said the other day when we were on the call, Britta, like when we do our design plans, we'll often have, here's like your inspiration, here's some options with that, and then we'll go completely the other way and throw in something that might just go, oh, that doesn't work in there.
Yeah.
But it's more to find out what people truly love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not what they've seen online that looks good.
Yeah.
Or maybe trending or a celebrity's done it. It's like what works for that person.
Yeah. And I guess you'd get that a lot as well, of people just being like, I want this wedding because I've seen it online.
Yeah. Jake and Marie's wedding. Like so many people gone, I want that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't have that. That was theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get that a lot as well, like obviously not on the same scale, but people go, here's photos, we want it exactly the same. And I'm like, no, sorry. Like I'll make it similar, but you can't just copy paste someone else's wedding. Like we've got to make it you, and we'll make it similar, but not the same.
Yeah. And, you can have it similar, but it's probably a different venue, or it's probably a different like menu, or it's a different number of guests. You might have different tables. You might have whatever. So like those elements make it a little bit more unique, but put your own touch and your own spin on things. And I think that we talk trends a lot in styling, but if you want to talk about trends, I think that where things are going is that people are really starting to like be true to who they are.
Yeah.
And what their own personal style is. I always love, like we talked about culture in our call the other day. Like it's when you're talking to your clients, it's really important to hear what they're saying. Where are they from? What's your story? How did you meet? Finding those elements and trying to bring them into the wedding makes it a more personal experience. It's their day. It's not my day or your day. It's not, guest day, but you want your guests to feel comfortable with, this is truly your wedding and a reflection of who that couple is.
I think that's good as well. Like you saying there, you really need to listen because, as I said, I walked into my wedding the other day and the florist, fantastic, but obviously wasn't listening. And to be fair, the client did change her mind multiple times on the flowers because she was going with trends and then, no, I actually like this. And so we changed a few times, but they just didn't listen to the end product, I think. And so when I walked in, I was like, we've got yellow in here. Yellow wasn't any part of my brief, and neither was purple. And where has that colour come from? So I think listening is such an important aspect. And I had this as well even last week. One of my couples, very camera shy, didn't really like the attention being on them. Massive wedding. We had 150 people, I think.
Wow, that's
all different cultures and islands all around, the Pacific. And one of the calls that I was having with them, they really wanted cake. They love cake, and they're like, oh, but we're going to have performances and this, and we just don't know where we're going to fit it in. And I was like, well, guys, you've got your little family. Why don't we just do you a private cake cutting after the ceremony? I'll take you back to a private room and do it with your kids. And so we ended up doing that. And when, I'll never forget, I was walking in after the ceremony just to, how's your cup of tea? How's your cake? And they're like, this is the best idea ever. Just having the family time with their two kids, doing the cake in private. Yeah. And they said we never would have thought of that. Yeah. But I think that's, again, just part of listening to what your couples want.
I know. And we get asked all the time, what site, we're doing a ceremony style, and we'll look at everything from the height of the groom to make sure the florals don't feel underwhelming, or the bride.
Or she's got a massive bouquet and she's this big.
Yeah, and what's the dress like? We don't want to overpower the dress with the flowers. We go into that level of detail. But you really, there's no set rules. There's traditions. Yeah. And traditions are important to some elements of wedding because it's becomes authentic to who that person is or what their family, has grown up with or whatever that may be. But there's no rules to wedding. If you want to stand on the left, stand on the left. If you want to stand on the right, stand on the right. It's going to be better for your hair anyway. It's going to be.
I always ask my bride, I'm like, the wind is blowing the other way right now. Do you still want to stand traditional? She's like, no, it's better for my hair if I stand
exactly.
on the right.
There's nothing worse than a veil coming over their face and they're like, the bridesmaids are trying to fix it.
Yeah. Do your first dance at the start of your wedding. It's all of that. And that's what I was saying before, the logistics and the styling. bringing those together to create that experience. And that's, working so closely to the wedding planners. Like when we're styling, we want to find out exactly what's happening on that wedding. Like, are we doing fireworks? So we've got pyros happening. What's the background? Where do they want to do the cake? Is there a cake? We do everything from even cake design. Yeah. Like we had a wedding when I was working with Global Weddings, and I designed the cake to match Marianne's like elements of her dress. Funny. So actually went into Exora while they were piping and making sure that the beads were like the same spacing as the dress.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But it was, when you look at it, does anyone else know that they were like, 8 millimeters apart? I don't know, but it's those sort of details.
It must be those details though that on the day you're like, I did that. And you must be so like, do you have like these moments that you just walk in and be like, wow?
Yeah. Yeah. Always, and I think that's where you either love what you do and you still have those moments. Yeah. But if you don't have those moments, then,
You're probably not meant to be in the industry if you don't have that moments. I was saying to Britta after like Brianna's wedding, which was absolutely gorgeous. And I was like, it was so pretty, but there's always that like, not disappointment, but I'm like, I don't get to take credit for this one because Kylie made it so beautiful. Like I love walking through my weddings and I'm like, mwah, that looks beautiful. Nah, then my vision and yes, and bride's going to be so happy. But when you came into it, I was like, I rocked up on the day and I was like, okay, my suppliers are sorted. Like, do you need help? And you were like, no, I've got it covered. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, and then it all came to life and I'm like, it's so pretty. Thanks, Kylie.
But on the flip side, like, I was just about to say that wedding was so fun.
Yeah,
so that's what you created.
So wonderful.
So there is that balance between, wedding planning and styling where, yes, it's hard for planners that like aesthetics or love aesthetics. But also it's collaboration. Like you might go, I don't think that's working. It's like, okay, let's switch it up a bit.
There's also some clients that I'm like, I know how detailed you're going to be and I don't have the time to go back and be like, I want the L on my seating chart to be in a slightly different font. Like I don't have that kind of time up my sleeve to spend 2 hours on your seating chart.
Yeah.
So there's ones that I'm like, yes, we're going to onboard a stylist. Or today I said to Britta, I've just had an inquiry in. And it's not the kind of client that I would normally take, but they've thrown a huge budget at me. I was like, I'll just get a stylist on board and then it's easy because I'll focus on all the logistics and things and let a stylist do the rest.
Yeah. And look, I mean, like I said, there's elaborate weddings, obviously. And
that'd be an elaborate one.
Yeah. There's others that, aren't as elaborate, but they still deserve to have that level of attention.
Sure.
And it's not, we talk budget. Let's just talk budget.
Yeah, I mean that's important.
That was a question.
It's not that I don't have time, but our wedding planning fees do not cover elaborate styling. We can do basic styling. Send me a photo of what you like, and we can make that happen or change aspects.
Yeah.
But for more time, like as I said, we'd have to double our fees for it to be worth our while to spend that kind of amount of time.
And we'd have to take on less weddings.
And we'd have to get graphic designers. Like you've got a whole team behind you. So like besides obviously you, who's the face of the business and brings all that in, like who else is on your team? Like what roles do they have?
So we have admin.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, definitely, but also sourcing. So people that go out and do that sourcing. We also have, graphic designer and an in-house interior designer.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it's a big team.
Yeah.
Within a little team, if that makes sense. So there's people like, and we all have different sort of backgrounds and somehow it's all come together. Like Ibumada used to work with the production company.
Yeah.
And, so blessed because she's strong in admin. So those elements. Santi, who's now, going off on a big adventure, has come from a wedding planning background. So, and relationships with the vendors has been so amazing with her. So, we run our wedding styling, very inventory based, like very detailed. We don't sort of, throw everything into one and go, that's what it is.
Yeah.
We sort of break things out. Yeah, because it is all custom. And sometimes like when we're going into budgets, we've got to work out, this is what you're saying you want. This is what you want to spend.
Yeah.
And somehow we've got to make this work across the two, which means that we need to find where the focus points are, where the most important elements are, and have some compromises on things. we're a big, and I say this a lot to our clients, we're big reusers within the space. So when we work in venues, I love when the venues have got their separate spaces where there's a ceremony space, a cocktail space, and a reception space, because we can actually
move everything
around quite seamlessly. And that's a big part of what we do, because like we don't stop until the guests are walking in.
No.
Yeah.
You know, like we're adding, you know, let's bring that from here. Let's make the seating plan part of the the welcome sign part of the seating plan, and really like create something extra. Yeah. And it's also a big part of being a little bit more sustainable with the weddings, so that you're not wasting, you know. So if we can design our ceremony so that the pieces are a little bit more moving, then we're able to bring it into the space. Like look at Brianna's wedding.
We just took it all and took it into the reception.
Yeah, like her aisle that we had, we put that in front of the stage so that it created like almost like a little bit of a floral, front to where the bridal table was. Yeah. And that all came from the ceremony. Yeah.
So what would you say, like ballpark, I mean, this is going to be how long's a piece of string, but if somebody wanted to work with you, is there a minimum budget of, this is how much we'd probably ideally need to do your flowers and your styling, let's say, of like 50 people?
Yeah. Look, I think the thing is, it's not just the flowers and the styling.
It's everything.
It's everything. So it's everything from, the layouts, your furniture, lighting, and we work obviously within the venue space, but with the wedding planners as well, to make sure that all areas are lit up properly. Yeah. It's not just about having the pretty lighting over your dining tables. You still have to make sure that there's lights or ambient light in certain places. So there's all of that. There's all the tablescaping, obviously, all the florals, all the graphic design.
Which is time consuming.
Yeah, like sometimes we're designing the cake. Sometimes we are consulting even on some of the dress.
Yeah, or going off and buying tiles.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all encompassing. Yeah. But I would say for 50 people on a very low budget outside of our fees, you're probably looking for all of that for about, let's talk IDR, because we're in Indonesia, like about 200, 250 minimum.
Yeah. So that's about 20 to 25,000 Australian dollars, 12 minimum. To 15,000 USD. Yeah. So that's flowers, decor, things like candles and your
tablescaping,
your napkins and your cutlery and
simple. Yeah. Simple. Yeah. And sometimes you can't get all of those things into a budget like that. So you've got to use the cutlery from the venue if it works, But again, it can go upwards. Like we've done weddings of 50 people and people have spent $100 billion rupee or $100,000 because
that's what they want.
That's what they want, and they want all the things and they want it all custom. Yeah.
Well, even little things like a custom dance floor. I did one the other day and I think that was like $2,500 to customize a dance floor the size we needed.
Yes.
So there are those little details that people probably just are like, oh, well, I just thought that happens. Like the seating chart must have taken my team like 2.5 hours to do the seating chart on one of the weddings because they wanted everything in alphabetical order and then names and last names and like it's very time consuming behind the scenes. And as you said, it is 300 plus hours of doing it all.
Yeah. And, time of year as well. So if people are wanting to spend money on their styling, and look, every wedding is styled. Yeah. Like every wedding has some element of decoration to it, but you then have to factor in, okay, are we, do we have structures that our lighting needs to go on? Yeah. Do we need to factor in that there could be possible rain at this time of year?
A wet summer we're having. Like, has anyone seen the weather outside right now?
I know.
Although it started raining 10 minutes after my wedding finished last night. So I was just like, thank you, weather gods.
I know. But you've got to think that through because there's no use, when we're doing our structures, we're thinking, okay, what happens if it's raining and do we need to put a cover up over the top of the structure? Yeah. And we're not going to invest all that time and energy into something that isn't going to give us a backup plan. Yeah. But we will cost that future, into our estimate, so couples know that
What
for
to
us,
expect, so it's not a surprise at the end.
Do you know what I said to the team a couple of weeks ago? So obviously we're having a wet summer and we've had quite a few weddings where last minute we've had to install a marquee. But what I think clients don't realise, we have to be on site to install that marquee, which is a day that I didn't plan to be out on site. And I said the other day, I was like, we need to start charging our fee to actually go out and oversee that marquee, because I spent 6 hours on site a couple of weeks ago because I had to be there for them to show up, to make sure the positioning was right. Is it going to be big enough? And then I've got to be there until the end to make sure it's perfect before I go home again. Like, even these last minute things like installing the floating stage again. I had to go out to a venue the other day to install the floating stage on the pool, and I got there and they'd bought the wrong equipment. And I'm like, I'm going to be here all day. Had to ring a staff member to swap out because I had another meeting. Like, there is a lot of stuff that's not just the wedding day.
Yeah, and it does add a lot of extra time when you are, when you have a marquee or you have a structure or...
Yeah, especially when the marquee's like, we want to install at 7 a.m. now.
Yeah.
So I've got to be there at 6:30 a.m. Or that wedding I had last year, I had a wedding at Pandawa Cliff Estate. Marquee company said we're going to install at 6. I was like, okay, I'll be there at 5:30 waiting for you. And they were 3 hours late, and I was so upset because I didn't finish work till 1 that morning. I was like, okay.
What about that floating stage last year?
Oh, they were late. Yeah.
They were 4 hours late.
4 hours late, and we're just sitting around waiting. Like, there's so much time outside of an actual wedding day and the behind the scenes as well that just doesn't get factored in.
But you wait, don't you?
You do.
You do. You have to. You've got to get it done.
It's the constant messages. I was actually going through those messages the other day. I was like, where are you?
Well, they say that the owner of the company tried telling us, we've got a flat tyre, but then the team arrived, sorry, we came from another event.
In Ubud.
Gosh.
Like, tell me the truth at least.
Yeah.
Well, they're the conversations like really, you have with your vendors, because you don't want to be in that situation, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, what else have you got on at this time?
Have you had any like really big disaster stories where, wind wasn't cooperating, the rain wasn't cooperating, or things that have just like ruined your day? Like, what's been the worst you've had to go through? And how did you deal with it?
Do you know what? Like, I think I haven't had anything really, touch wood, catastrophic. And every wedding, something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, every time.
Like the furniture might be
the wrong colour,
whatever. Like, and you've laid it out and you've got the best plan you can possibly have, but something might happen.
My dance floor.
Yeah.
The what?
Britta had a wedding last month and the dance floor showed up and it was the wrong colour. And so she's trying to fix it, but the warehouse is a couple hours away. The wedding's in Uluwatu. There's no way they're going to make it in time.
Yeah.
So the team went out and
bought plywood,
and they painted the dance floor.
But it was a water-based paint, and it's like powdery.
And it rained.
Oh, it just came off.
Well, it was everywhere. It was all through the venue. Everywhere. And of course, we've got a security deposit down at the venue. It was at Pandawa, and you know what they're like there. And the paint all over the grass, all over the floor, all over the bride.
Decking. Yeah. You should have seen the bride's feet, white all up to the knee.
It happens, and you learn from it. You never do that again.
Well, it wasn't even us. It was like, this is not our problem. You've bought the wrong colour of dance floor. You fix it. We're going back to doing whatever we've got to do. And they came up with a solution, and
Look, I think sometimes, it can work in your favour. Like we always, it's not the first time this has been said. It's not like we coined this phrase, but there is perfection in imperfection.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit extreme. But there is sometimes times when, look at the terror. Yeah, it's even better. Because if you are put into like a bit of a pressure moment, and like we do what we do because we kind of love the pressure.
Yeah.
And we love the adrenaline. And, exactly. It's like, and when you fix it, it becomes better than what you had even imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So I haven't had any real major disasters. Of course, we've had weddings where it's rained.
Yeah.
But we do try and plan as much in our styling.
Yeah.
To allow for that. Sometimes people are just like, we don't care. Yeah. We don't care. And you've had to move it inside.
Yeah.
Or you've had to, leave beautiful flowers and
in the rain. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But that's where the experience of it, you try and make that better than what, what it was. Dance in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like that. I feel like you're either going to get like two types of couples. You're going to get the couples that are like, things going to go wrong, we'll roll with it, or you're going to get the ones that one thing will happen and that entire wedding was a disaster.
Yeah.
We've had a big couple of weeks of just extremities on either side.
Yeah. But that's where, that's the joy of it.
Yeah.
But most of the time people, I think, when it has, and you talk about it with your couples, don't you? Like if it rains, the only people that are going to make things better are you. Because if you go into it, like, I had a couple once at Ungasan and beautiful wedding all set up and it started to rain and you could you're getting phone calls from, different sort of people along the coast because, other people got weddings. It's like, it's raining in Seminyak, it's coming your way. And it's like, oh my God, okay, quick, speeches or whatever. Let's, wedding planner, let's get them rolling so that we can, move things if we need to. And it's like, no, we're having a great time. Let's just hang out for a bit longer. And, it's like, I remember standing on the edge of the cliff there and the bride was crying. I was like, right, you need to pull it together. You need to go and freshen up. Yeah. And by the time you finish freshening up, we're going to
have a plan.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring you 2 gin and tonics and there's going to be a plan. And there was a plan. So, it was.
I just need you following me around when things go wrong. Actually, the bar team does that for us some days. If we look stressed, you go and have a sip of your soda. What are you? Oh, that is not soda. That is gin.
Yeah. It's just, you can turn things around if the couple have got the right attitude for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like if you've got the trust of the couple as well, like we say it so many times, you have to trust your planner, you've got to trust your stylist. And even the wedding yesterday, I was saying to Britta and you earlier, like I got caught there for 45 minutes at the end of the night trying to go home because she was just raving like, oh my gosh, as soon as you walked in, my shoulders like Tristan's here, I can relax now. Yeah. And I think, and she even said to me like she was crying 2 days earlier because it was raining and the groom apparently turned to her and said, do you think Tristan would have been in touch if she was worried about the rain? I'm sure she's already got it figured out. And I was like, oh yeah, I've already been looking at the weather. There was like, for you, there was no issues for your day. I've already been like, it is something that you've got to be there to take the pressure off because that's part of our job. We're not just a wedding planner, stylist, like you're there to problem solve. Yeah. Like you need to have that experience of dealing with it.
And when they trust us as well.
Counsellor, mathematician.
When they trust us as well, it makes us feel good. If you don't trust us, I feel like we're on edge all day. I know I am.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like that as well. Yanti's not, surprisingly.
Yanti's not, but I just feel like I'm on edge all day. I'm like, what can I do to make this better for them? Just constantly
but
trying
honestly,
to.
You just need to do what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know what
it's like I know what I'm good at. It's just.
I think you and I both overthink the situation.
I do.
We always talk, like this year's a big thing, like the Taipei bride. I give them all to another company. If they come in with like massive attention to detail, because it stresses me out that I'm like, I need you to trust me. Like I need you to not micromanage every part of this event. Like I will bring your vision to life, but there needs to be trust there. Whereas Yanti is like, she's fine with it. She's like, well, I did my job. I don't care. Like if they're not smiling though, I'm like, is she okay? Like is she happy? Is she not happy?
Yeah, because you want the whole experience for people to be amazing. Yeah. But they've got to want it to be amazing as well.
For sure.
Well, that wedding the other day, the bride said to me, because she was messaging me early in the morning, I was like, babe, I'm actually in the hospital right now. Like I will be at your wedding, but give me like an hour to figure out. I can't remember what she wanted. She wanted a steamer or something. It was something she needed first thing in the morning. She's like, no, don't worry, your health comes first. And I was like, I'm not missing your wedding for the world. And later on during the reception, when I was walking around for her first look, I was like, this reaction right here is exactly why I wasn't missing your wedding, because she was just the most excited, like, oh my gosh, and that and this and that. And like, you've just brought it all to life. And I was like, I thrive for those moments. They're my favorite.
But like how lucky to have such great clients.
Yeah.
And I honestly, like all the couples that we've been involved in the last sort of 3 years have been amazing, to be honest. And I think it's like, not that we harp on about COVID, but it really wasn't that long ago.
No.
And I think that people are just wanting to have an amazing experience and celebrate life and celebrate these life moments.
Absolutely.
Like
you only get one life. I think make the most of it.
I know. Look at Italy, Tristan.
That was beautiful. I forgot about that one too.
I know. That was definitely a drop of mic kind of moment.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
So for those playing along at home, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was very fortunate that Global Weddings were doing a wedding in Italy, and I happened to be in Europe at the same time, and I said, can I come along? And they're like, we need extra hands. So I came in and Kylie was doing the styling. So we got to work a wedding in Lake Como together.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. Like even the styling there, the setting, it was absolutely beautiful. But the one thing I will say is like, my gosh, we worked hard.
We
there is no
so
furniture
hard.
company. There's no Bali event hire, like fixing the chairs for you. Like they dump it out the front and we had to go physically place all the furniture, pack it up at the end of the night, cover it. Like it was hard manual labor for 3 days.
Crazy.
Yeah, and you can't leave anything behind. Like on your hands
Not even
and
cigarette
knees,
butts.
like picking up little bits of plastic, whatever it was, on the grass. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so full on, the rules. And that villa, they took a massive security deposit as well.
Yeah, and look, I mean, any property that we go into, we're responsible for that property as well. You know, it's all these little things that I think people don't realise. Like
Italy was next level. Me and Kylie were basically starving to death as well because obviously Italy, it's all very pasta and pizza. So for the supplier meals, I think it was pizza and pasta. Now you're gluten intolerant. I'm lactose intolerant. So
I would have been in heaven.
I remember one of the nights me and Kylie had to go out and get dinner after the event. We'd worked all day, hadn't eaten because I was like, I can't eat any of that. It's got dairy. And she's like, I can't eat any of it. It's got gluten.
Yeah, that's so true. I forgot all that.
So did I. I actually completely blanked on the fact that we were in Italy together on that wedding.
I know. It was such a whirlwind, such a blur.
It was. I was only in for 3-4 days.
Incredible experience. And, you know, like the wedding industry in Bali is super tight, but you're so lucky that, you know, Narelle from Global Weddings reached out to, you know,
Maddie Oliver, yeah.
And so Bertie and Danny came over. So
I loved them.
they were great. They're just, you know, they're the guys that have got the Europe experience. So it was so nice to have them there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and for us having to do those logistics, you know, somewhere like that was, you know, a great learning curve.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure. But you're on a completely different time zone.
Completely different time zone. There's still that language barrier as well.
Yeah. So fun.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So good.
Yeah.
Do you have any favourite venues in Bali?
Yeah. Lots, actually.
What would be like your top 3?
I would have to say Ungasan.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be up there. It's such a gorgeous venue.
It is.
I want to get Sasha on actually from Ungasan and get her in for a little interview.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I love it there. You
Yeah.
know, the Selatan lawn's amazing. And like what we were talking about before, the experience of having a ceremony in one villa, you know, cocktail space, you know, and then having your reception on the Selatan lawn, which is a great blank canvas. And I probably pushed as far as I can push boundaries, like in that space, as far as a stylist goes, like, you know, marquees that aren't meant to fit in there and structures that aren't meant to fit in there. So I've been really, really lucky. Like years ago when I was working there, I did a wedding for a gorgeous Australian couple, Sam and Natalie, and, you know, we really worked with Bali Event Styling on that wedding, and we really pushed the boundaries in that space. Like it was one of the biggest setups at that time that we had done, and that was like a 3-day setup, you know, a whole canopy of like, you know, almost like a wonderland, like a really whimsical garden that grew from the ceiling and big giant chandeliers. It was amazing, amazing. Sese Beach Villas.
Yeah, I love them as well.
Yeah.
I think the staff there as well really just give me the warm and fuzzies.
Yeah. And
I walked in the other day and they gave me a big hug. They're like, welcome back, Britta. I'm like,
yeah, and the staff in villas make a massive difference to the
Huge.
experience for you, but also for your guests.
For sure.
And villas that get events, you know, they host events, but do they really get it? Like they do there. And having, again, that lawn, like there aren't
separate space
there aren't too many properties in Bali where you can actually be like
on the front lawn there.
Right there at the front. Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. Pandawa's also up there. I love Jiva Saba.
I really like
Jiva Saba. Yeah.
You had your first wedding there last month, didn't you?
Yeah.
Noku. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know. You keep going. There's so many great venues, isn't there?
At least you know the answer. We've asked this a couple of times. I'm like, what's your favourite venue? Uluwatu. I'm like...
Yeah. There aren't like, you know, there's a lot of properties. Like Latitude's great as well, you know, like it's that sort of wide, like it's very hard to get a cliff view that's as wide as that villa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many. We're so lucky. We're so lucky.
So spoiled.
Yes, Sempiak Beach Villa down there. That's so
Where's
beautiful. In Lombok.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to work off the island. It's too stressful.
Lembongan was enough for me.
Oh,
We called it quits on island weddings a couple of years ago. It was just logistically, it was not hard. It was just a lot more time than like we had.
I really think you just clients need the budget for it as well.
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't. And it was like, well, why do we have to pay all the travel fees? And why do we have to pay for accommodation? Well, your celebrant can't come home because the fast boat's finished. So you got to pay for accommodation and their meals and
Yeah, and look, you know, people, you try and do things as you know, not on a budget for your clients, but try and make their dollar go as far as it can.
Yeah.
But it can also put a lot of pressure and a lot of risk on things. So to get to those islands, you've got to be there in advance, really, because there could be, you know, boat issues, or there
this
could
was
be
the issue
lack
with
of
the last
flights.
wedding we had there. The week before we were leaving, lots of boats had been cancelled. I think did one sink? I can't remember. But we had weddings like 2 days after one of the weddings. I'm like, what if we get stuck there?
Yeah.
Like, this is terrifying because we might not be able to get back for a couple of days, and then who's going to run our wedding? And I'm sure we would have sorted it. You know, Soiree would have stepped in, someone would have stepped in for us. But it's still just the fear of like we could get stuck.
Yes, exactly. Like, and then the knock-on effect with everything else that you do, like even being over there, if you're working on other weddings, it's really hard.
Or what if we didn't get there? What if the boat got cancelled and half the guests? Like, there's so many things that go on. So I was like, I'm just going to stick to Bali. Like, the mainland, it's beautiful.
Yes,
I love
the
it.
traffic can be shit sometimes, but we're used to it.
We're used to it. We sing
it.
some car songs. We stop and get our coffee. We're set.
Yeah.
And what do you think the biggest trends are going to be at the year? We briefly touched on this earlier before we started filming. I'm seeing a lot of bows. Is there anything you're seeing a lot of at the moment? Big bows around the glasses.
Beautiful bow that Tristan put in my hair.
Yeah, bows are definitely there. Look, I mean, I think that what you're seeing is like lots of draping. Like there's lots of like going back to that sort of
actually I've got that on my next one as well. Lots of draping through the trees and the chiffons and the beautiful. And we had that at the bar the other night.
Yeah, I think I would love to see that be done in a way that I was talking about, where it's not like sometimes you see all this beautiful draping, but it's actually blocking the beautiful view that may be in place. So, I'm sort of seeing a lot of that draping done. I'd like it to not be as overdone, I guess, and hopefully that becomes a little bit more of the trend where it sort of, sits in a nice balance. Yeah. But each, clients have got their own style, planners, stylists have got their own style. So, that'll continue. I think it's going to be a big one. But I actually think that the biggest trends are going back to that personalisation. Yeah. Like where people are really starting to, go back to their roots and who they are. And that's what I love, like that authentic, self. Like my style is very eclectic. Like we talk about like our personal style in the office a lot. Yeah. And, we're about to finish renovations on our new office space in Ormalas. And so the style is very much, I just want it to resonate with, who we are collectively as creatives, but also where I've come from. So I'm very nostalgic. I love retro. I love vintage. I love a little bit of boho. I love a little bit of sophistication. I'm completely all over the place. So, I love the juxtaposition of all the old and new. And I think that, that's when you're talking to people, like Julia was gorgeous. And when I sat down with her, we were talking, she loved like her nostalgic background and bringing in touches of, the Philippines where she was from. Yeah. So I think that is going to be a big trend where people are going to be a little bit more personal. Yeah.
I think that's good as well, because I'm like, we always have the years where it's like was it 2017, 2018, everything was green and white and everyone just copies. And I do feel you're right. This year I'm getting a lot more personalisation, and you just did like full personalised bar. I've just done a full personalised audio guest book and dance floor. We've got so many events coming up that there's so many little personal touches. I just love. I think it's just so special for the couple.
Yeah, and I also think that there's going to go back to that where it doesn't have to be, everything exactly the same. Yeah. So there could be like a real spectrum of like, almost tapestry on the tables, whether it's a different sort of, not saying different cutleries or whatever it may be, but there might be different, not copy all the way along. So a little bit more of a mix of materials maybe, or colours throughout.
Yeah.
So I think that will definitely start to come back on trend.
Yeah.
Like we've done weddings, and you know what it's like. Sometimes you've got to make that work, because there might be a big wedding of 180 people, and there may not be that quantity of the same chair there. But also that can look quite bland.
Yeah.
So why not mix it up and have, different chairs at round tables as they would be to long tables.
Yeah.
Do combinations of longs and rounds. I'm starting to see a lot more of that, and we're doing a lot more of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's more interesting.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing are there any trends or things that you wish couples would stop doing? Or things that just don't work? Like we used to get back in the day, not so much anymore, but we used to get a lot of people that were like, well, you want frangipanis? I'm like, do you know how hard frangipanis are to work with? They've got no stem. They're just like a little flower. You got to put sticks up them. Like, what things do you wish couples knew more to not use?
Look, I think, to be honest, it's hard to sort of go against what people want, so if a couple really wants frangipanis, okay, we can bring it in somewhere if it works in with the big picture of whatever, maybe somewhere really little, but
in the bathtub where they belong.
That's it.
They smell nice.
Look, I think there's a few things like, stand, and it comes back to that experience as well, because it's not just about like creating a stagnant space and making it look pretty. That can be moving, if that makes sense. So I think like standard like photo booths where people are just going in there and doing the props and, doing all of that, I think that's less trending and more like people are grabbing things and being on the dance floor. It's a bit more about candid and flowing rather than it just being so, here's a photo booth and take a photo and make it look pretty, and here's a this and da-da-da, So I think it's definitely, like, look at photography styles. Like, how many couples kind of want that, mixed sort of vintage camera look in now?
So many.
Yeah. Like, film,
it's
photography. It's always been there. It's been special to some people, but it's really now starting that nod back to nostalgia, definitely. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't want a couple to bring to me, but I think there's ways of making it
special.
Yeah.
Lovely. And I'm going to touch on one more thing because we've discussed this a couple of times and we have very strong opinions. What are your thoughts on fake flowers in Bali?
Okay. I was hoping we weren't going to go into that conversation.
Well, I personally hate them, and I've banned them from my weddings unless they're like in the back of things, because I don't find the quality
They're
good
kind
here.
of just fillers.
But you obviously work with flowers a lot more hands-on than we do. Have you ever seen good quality fake flowers? Because I've had a few couples that are like, we want fake flowers. And I'm like, no.
I know, because like it's that conversation about sustainability, and some people think that by having those artificial flowers, it's going to be a bit more of a sustainable wedding. Like, there's been weddings that, where it's almost been 100% fake floral. You can tell.
I can see them like, I
can't do 100%. Absolutely not.
But look, I think that it has a place, definitely.
in the bin.
Most of them are in the bin. No, I think it has a place where it might be, if someone wants a really full look, and it might be a budget constraint, as far as having, like, let's talk white hydrangeas, because they're probably the biggest filler, right?
Probably.
So bringing in white hydrangeas is an import and can be really, really expensive. So if you really want that and you want to have some, pick like the key moments for those pieces, but sometimes you'll use some as a bit of a filler to then pull out all of the not a lot. Like, it's really hard. They're a really good backup plan if floral goes a little bit pear-shaped, or it might be damaged in transit. And that's the thing, people have got to understand. A lot of the florals that come into Indonesia are imported.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And even into Bali, like, a lot of the time the flowers might be Indonesian, but they don't come from Bali. They might be coming from one of the other islands.
Oh yeah,
and
they're all
still
like
transporting.
they're all coming from another island.
Yeah.
You know, like they're coming from Java.
And what the florist might have ordered might not be what they get. Like we had florals the other day that was supposed to be like this pink colour and they turned like a very purple.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes these things happen.
So we try and get that before the day as much as we can. So with the florists that we work with, we'll go in and have a look and review the flowers that are coming into the wedding space. And like sometimes we'll say, okay, look, I mean, you know, they're bruised. Like we really need to pull those back, or you need to flex those roses, or let's use them as the filler rather than the mains. But yeah, you've really got to try and, you know, make the most of what we are able to get here. And we can get basically anything, but it does come at a cost. Yeah. I don't love fake florals, obviously. And the colours...
they're not natural.
They're not natural. So the thing I struggle with is like that white on white palette. And where you're mixing in the white artificials with the white. Because
which are not always white. They're creamy.
No, exactly. And most of the time when couples say, yeah, but look at that. That looks amazing. It's like, yeah, but it's been photoshopped, or there's a sepia tone over the top, or, you know, whatever that may be. That's not the real colour of the flowers. So, yeah, you've got to, you know, we look at it and tick it off before it gets to, you know, the space.
Yeah, fair enough. We were discussing that as well when we were going through florals last month, like the amount of times over the years that we've had to say to people like, yes, I love that, but you need to be aware that that's not going to be the actual colour because that is a photoshopped photo, or it's got a filter, or there's something on there that's not a raw photo of the flowers. They're going to be duller than that. Yeah,
and I think like there's a big misconception that you've got to have a really beautiful wedding and have lots of flowers. The right flowers that have been worked well. Yeah. And like look at Sandat, you know, like Marty's a master at working flowers, and, you know, it can be as simple as a few stems and it can be incredibly beautiful. Like that architectural style of florals definitely is coming more and more into the forefront. And I feel like Bali is exceptional at that. Yeah. You know, when you look around the world, like some of the European weddings are very floral oriented, very round in the construction, whereas we use light and space and contrast and texture to make it look beautiful. Yeah. Because we're creative.
Yeah. Absolutely. Amazing. And let's talk about how we book you. We've got people obviously listening that may be planning with us, maybe planning with another planner. If somebody wants to get in touch with you to chat styling, how would they do that?
They can send us through a message on Instagram.
Yep, so we'll put her Instagram here.
Yeah, speak to the wedding planner. The wedding planners have our contact details. Send us through an email.
Yep, lovely. And I know the answer to this already because we touched on this already. If somebody's working independently with a hotel, planning their own wedding, they can still onboard you as a stylist?
They can.
Lovely. And they don't need a wedding planner because you could also, I guess, take over that as well. Well, you can. I see your face. So you can do the planning as well if need be.
Look, you know, we have helped wedding venues.
But you prefer to focus on the styling. I love the planning. I love the styling, but not to that detail. Like, I do actually really enjoy the styling. I can't focus on all the little details like you do. I don't have the brain for it. I wouldn't have thought of an apparel cart for Brianna. Your brain just works in a different way. I was like, oh my God, that's a brilliant idea. And that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. I think it's nice, probably you being able to focus on the wedding planning, and then
because as you
if
said,
it is
so
such
many
a
things
massive
go
project,
wrong.
Then you've got two people there.
Yeah. Oh, I love working with Kylie. I wandered around all day. I was like, she's got this, she's got this. I'll just... That's fine. We're running late.
What
Get the violinist out of her white dress.
Like what a great team having a wedding planner and a stylist.
It's like the dream team. Like we've spoken in the past about like now my thing of the year is having a professional MC. Like it's just made such a big difference. Like now I'm like having a professional MC and a professional stylist. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, and look, I mean, it does elevate experience everywhere. Like, yeah, obviously we plan as, you know, and being able, when you're doing both, you know, on the day you can give focus to so much, you know, like, you know, you've got to expand your team. You've got to have bigger teams. And even that in itself, managing those bigger teams is
Yeah.
Like you need someone to manage that, you know?
Yeah, well, on the wedding day, we might have anywhere from 30 up to 100 suppliers on site, and someone's in charge of them, and it's normally us or you or whoever else is around to manage that aspect.
Yeah, it is. It's good to have the roles split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming in today and spending some time with us. We will put your Instagram handles, emails and things up here so people can get in touch if they want to.
And we're all feeling a little under the weather. So I think
we're very, when you messaged me this morning, you said, I'm not going to be very energetic. I'm like, I've had like 4 hours sleep last night, 5 the night before. We've come off back-to-back events for 3 days. So it's fine. We're coming into the season.
I had no voice this morning.
She sent me a voice note and I was like, this is my voice right now. It might be okay. I'm going to drink everything I can. Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us today. And next episode on Bali Weddings Unveiled, we are going to be covering off the difference between a hotel and a villa wedding, how to choose, and I guess the pros and cons on both. So stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.
Bye.